Of course, that's the sound of the mighty sparrow, a good citizen. When does someone really become a good citizen? That is an important question we need to ask ourselves every single day, because every day you have the choice and the opportunity to become a great citizen just by putting on your mask, just by sanitizing, just by keeping your distance. Yeah, that's what you have to do, and you'll be a great citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, it helps if you do involve yourself in corruption and things like that, but that's a whole different story. As we move, the First Citizens National Poetry Slam remains the biggest platform for spoken word in the Caribbean. And First Citizens has been supporting the slam since its inception 8 years ago. The Bocas Lit Fest is the producer of this year's First Citizens National Poetry Slam. And this year's theme is called Slamageddon, referring to poets being the only ones who can save the world with the power of the pen. Timely, right? The semi-final rounds, they're coming up, and semi-final 1 will air on Sunday, August 23rd, and semi-finals 2 will be airing on the 30th of August. Now, it's a total of 36 poets vying for 12 spots in the finals on Sunday, 27th September. And the prizes are things like $50,000 for the first place, $20,000 for second place, and $10,000 for third place. For viewing info and updates, you can follow the National Poetry Slam on IG, Twitter at FCNPS, on Facebook as well. You can look out for them. Joining us this morning is the First Citizens National Poetry Slam semi-finalist, Gary Acosta, and also Carrie's former schoolmate. So good morning, Gary.
Morning.
How are you doing, Gary? All right?
Yeah, feeling all right. So wake up a little early, so.
Nice. Now, Gary, you're no stranger. You're no stranger to the stage, right? Tell us a bit about your style as a performer, like where inspiration for your pieces come from, and what you bring into the competition, and all that good stuff.
Well, with me, I think typically I'm not a person where I could sit down and say I want to write for a certain topic. To me, most of the times, I would just get a word come into my head, or a phrase or a line come into my head, and that just starts the piece. It might be the end, it might be the start, it might be just a punchline within there, and I would just build from there. And that's typically how I write, just on inspiration rather than on trying to force myself into write a particular topic.
Now, I remember the last time I saw you perform was in Black Box, I believe it was, and you did a piece in, I think it was True Talk No Lie, but you did a piece basically bashing all the poets, all the modern day poets, right? So when it comes to the semi-final, you're going to be competing in an empty auditorium. No applause, no feedback, no encouragement, none of that. How do you plan for something like that?
That'll be just, something really new and different. It aligns with the new normal that we're in now with the whole COVID-19 pandemic. So we have to accept that difference. Most of the times when you write spoken word poetry for slam, you typically write also for the audience as well too. You feed off that energy when the audience responds to a certain line. So you're gonna have to tailor your piece a little differently. Maybe hopefully try to get a response from the judges. When normally they try to keep a neutral face, but you're gonna have to write a little harder now to try to get that out of the judges to give that energy.
Well, Gary, let's go back in time a little bit. Let's go back to school days a little bit. You've always been one that is very good at expressing yourself. But where did the love for poetry and, where did you really start it?
Wow. I think I wrote my first piece when I was 9 years old.
Wow.
I actually still have a scanned copy of it. It was once was a man from France kind of piece. And I don't know, I just always loved expressing myself with the spoken word. Funnily enough, I never really liked reading. So I hated literature. I hated reading. But for some reason, I loved writing as well too, and putting a flow to words and putting my own unique style to how I actually do the spoken word.
Now, so you said you wrote your first poetry at 9 years old, and that's the beginning of it. But what do you say as your ultimate goal as a poet, Gary?
My ultimate goal as a poet, I think, is really spread consciousness, spread a positive message. Now sometimes spreading that positive message may get you in trouble. So unfortunate because sometimes people don't like what you're saying. But the truth sometimes is. So I mean the goal really as a spoken word poet is again to spread that conscious message, inform and educate persons using a different medium.
What do you think the message you want to give people in this time of COVID-19 right now, where things are, we're in the second wave here in Trinidad and Tobago. What do you think is a message that you want to put forward right now in this time?
As I said in my first line in my piece for the semifinal, see no evil, hear no evil, cover your mouth when you cough. So simple as that. Wash your hands, practice social distancing, stay home if you're sick, and I mean we are all dependent on each other to continue to remain safe and illness free. And we all have that personal responsibility to ensure that everyone continues to remain like that.
Right. Gary, at this time, we also coming about, and we just ended the political season with the campaign and all that stuff. We have a clip that we're going to play in a little bit, but that one of your old pieces called Democracy Means, right? But I want to know, in this time that we live in with the pandemic, like I say, we talk about just now, but also, the political situation that we have found ourselves in. What does democracy look like to you now?
Just a little bit there. Actually didn't hear what they said.
I was asking what democracy looks like to you now, considering everything that we have in front of us as a nation.
Could you repeat? I lost a little connection here, so I actually didn't hear what you said.
You hearing me now?
No.
No. So how you responding if you're not hearing? All right. Okay. Can you hear me a little bit better now?
Yeah, you can hear me better now.
All right. I was asking, what does democracy look like to you now, considering the state of things in the country? Yeah, you see how potent the question was.
Yeah. Democracy now, in the current political landscape, seems to be severely divided. We have placed a racial barrier between one side to the next side, and it's very scary what we're seeing on social media. I think with this election in 2020, the use of social media for both positive and negative is so much more, and especially where political parties have to use social media to campaign rather than the rallies themselves. You're seeing so much more than you would have seen back in 2010. And maybe it was there before, it's just that now persons have a platform to express themselves so negatively as well too. And it's really sad that in a country like this, where we're such a multicultural society, that we have such a serious issue of race and divide within our society itself.
Well, Gary, I want to thank you very much for joining us. Before we leave, finish this interview, I want to run a clip of one of your pieces entitled Democracy Means. Let's take it in.
The protection of the citizens from the exercise of arbitrary power and the violation of human freedom and individual right.
2 silver bracelets.
Means
1 judge, 12 pairs of 10 years he faces.
Means
1 man with a suitcase of ties and titles, yet no evidence in his briefcases.
Democracy.
But he, 1 shirt, blue jeans and a shoes without laces, and we, 1 word says free scribed across our faces, yet faced with the reservations of what democracy means. Means perceived to be promises. Abide by these, but who reads what the cursive leaves with these promises? Covers faces, but who feels what the curtains bleed with these promises? The promises.
Democracy means democracy means
The promises, the promises.
democracy means democracy means
The promises, the promises.
I want to thank you very much this morning, Gary Acosta. Democracy Means, boy. That's actually a nice sample of Eric Williams there, boy. Well done.
People would have done that
Right.
back in 2010 or something like that. And
Right.
as well, big up Dennett, out of Dennity for doing the visuals on that.
All right, Gary. Well, thank you and all the best in the National Poetry Slam coming up.
And good chatting with you, brother. It's been a while.
Yeah, see me carry. And don't forget to hold the ball, eh?
Not this time.
Gary, thank you
that
very
was a good
much.
one.
So, Gary,
funny story.
Is that ball hung?
Was that?
Is that ball hung?
No. There was a situation in school, in secondary school presentation, where we were playing a football game. I think it was the inter-class games. And I was standing in the field waiting to for somebody to pass the ball to me or whatever, because we were in the middle of the game. And I hear the coach's voice over everything across the field. Hold the ball! And I don't know what happened, and the ball bounced in front of me, and I just did this.
You grabbed it?
And I held the ball.
When he said hold the ball, he meant with your foot. He meant hold on to the possession.
I know what it means. I know what it means.
I need to take a break. I can't deal with this. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a quick break and come back with some more. Carrie, better than that.